What's up everyone and welcome back to the MMA Zone. Today, let's get started with Darren Till announcing that his comeback is officially on. Popular UFC veteran Darren Till has continued to find himself sidelined with injuries time and time again. Fortunately for the 29-year-old Liverpool native, his year-long hiatus will soon be coming to an end. After returning to middleweight at the end of 2019, Till found success at 185 pounds as he picked up a narrow win over former interim title challenger Kelvin Gastelum. Unfortunately, in his next fight, Till dropped a unanimous decision with former middleweight kingpin Robert Whittaker before then sustaining a broken collarbone in training for his next fight. The injury forced Till to withdraw from a scheduled bout with Marvin Vettori and sidelined him for over a year. And then in September of 2021, when he made his return to the cage against Derek Brunson, Till was submitted in the third round before then sustaining another injury in training camp that forced him to the sidelines once again. Fortunately, in a video this week, Till gave an update to fans regarding his return to the cage, while also talking about training with streaking contender Khamzat Chimaev.
I want to have 2 fights by the end of this year, just bump, 2 fights, and then next year's a big year. The comeback is on.
Till also notably expressed his desire to not only return to active competition, but more importantly, make a run at a UFC championship. This is great news for fight fans who were concerned about how long Till would be sidelined after he recently withdrew from a scheduled bout with Jack Hermanson at UFC Fight Night London in July. With the Gorilla's return on the horizon, who would you like to see him face when the time comes? Give us your predictions in the comments section down below. Next up, Sean Strickland jokes around with Khamzat Chimaev following sparring session. Top-ranked middleweight Sean Strickland is back in the gym following his devastating knockout at the hands of Alex Pereira earlier this year. The loss saw Strickland's 6-fight win streak come to an end as he suffered his first defeat in nearly 5 years and saw his hopes of a middleweight title shot slip away. Now, Strickland is back in the gym and training with none other than streaking 2-division prospect Khamzat Chimaev, who is gearing up for his September showdown with Nate Diaz. In footage posted online from Extreme Couture, Strickland and Chimaev can be seen following a sparring session, with Strickland suggesting that Chimaev take it easier on everyone.
He gets a little bit, yeah. Be nice. Gum is up. Understand, you're better than everybody. So just don't hurt people.
In the footage, Strickland can also be seen matching up with fellow middleweight Darren Till in training, where he can be heard stating that Chimaev simply goes too hard. Following his knockout loss at the hands of Alex Pereira in July, Strickland managed to skirt a lengthy medical suspension and was quickly booked to fight former middleweight title contender Jared Cannonier in October. The fight will without a doubt be a tough one for Strickland, as Cannonier enters the fight looking to return to the win column following his UFC 276 loss to Israel Adesanya. With a win, either man will quickly find themselves in the 185-pound title picture once again. When Strickland and Cannonier share the octagon together on October 15th, who do you think gets it done? Give us your predictions in the comment section below. Alex Volkanovski offers advice to Paddy Pimblett. Add featherweight kingpin Alexander Volkanovski to the list of people who are cautioning Paddy Pimblett on the dangers of letting his weight fluctuate between fights. After making a statement in his UFC debut last year by knocking out his opponent, Paddy the Baddy followed up the display by submitting his next 2 opponents back-to-back. Although this year has been a great one for Pimblett as he extended his win streak to 3, it's his actions outside the cage that are concerning many in the MMA community. Between fights, Pimblett admittedly gains an incredible amount of weight. Recently, he informed media members that just 1 month after his win over Jordan Levitt, he had ballooned up to 200 pounds. Although he hasn't missed weight since joining the UFC, Pimblett's cut to the lightweight limit of 155 pounds is one that many believe will be detrimental to his longevity in the sport. Recently, reigning featherweight champion Alexander Volkanovski spoke about the situation while offering some advice to Pimblett, saying,
"Yeah, and it's not healthy. It's terrible. It's terrible for you, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, mate, his head, it blows me out how his head just balloons like that. It's quite funny. I think there's a lot of people that probably care for his health as well, because it ain't healthy. It ain't healthy. And I know because I've been in the same position.
Volkanovski notably played professional rugby and reached weights as high as nearly 215 pounds. After making the transition to MMA, the Aussie would allow himself to bulk up between fights before then once again cutting down to the featherweight limit of 145 pounds. Given that Pimblett is just 27 years old, it doesn't look like he plans to change his habits anytime soon. Whether or not it ultimately impacts his impressive displays in the cage, however, however, remains to be seen. Before we continue, make sure you give that like button some love and be sure to subscribe to the MMA Zone for all the latest news. Up next, Paulo Costa undergoes surgery for broken hand sustained in UFC 278 win. This past weekend, former middleweight title challenger Paulo Costa and former UFC and Strikeforce middleweight champion Luke Rockhold squared off in a scrap that thrilled fight fans from bell to bell. Early on in the fight, Rockhold's nose was broken, however, it didn't deter the 37-year-old from throwing down in their co-main event bout despite Costa's edge in the fight. He revealed this week on his YouTube channel while speaking Portuguese that during the fight he broke his right hand, and although he initially hoped the injury wasn't a serious one, he was forced to undergo surgery to repair the damage. I thought I had a bone injury or maybe ligaments, but what really happened was a fracture to the metacarpal bone. I hoped it wasn't a fracture because then I would be able to come back to fighting again in 50 or 60 days and use all the conditioning and the whole camp I've done. The injury is a particularly frustrating one for Costa as he has been forced to withdraw from fights time and time again after losing to middleweight champion Israel Adesanya in 2020. When Costa finally returned from injury last year, he made headlines as he appeared to make no attempt during training camp to make the contracted 185-pound middleweight limit. After coming into fight week massively overweight, he found himself on the wrong end of a unanimous decision to Marvin Vettori before he was able to return to the win column with his win over Rockhold this past weekend. So far, no word yet on how long Costa will be sidelined following the surgery. With just one fight left on his contract, however, Costa will be looking to make a statement to increase his value heading into free agency. When he returns from injury, who do you want to see Costa fight next? Give us your thoughts in the comment section below.
Jake Paul?
Lastly, Israel Adesanya recalls moment he felt betrayed by fans. Israel Adesanya is without a doubt one of the most thrilling fighters on the UFC roster. Since signing with the promotion in 2018, Adesanya has rattled off win after win, securing highlight reel knockouts over the likes of Derek Brunson, Robert Whittaker, and Paulo Costa, en route to an impressive 12-1 UFC record that has seen him defend the middleweight belt 5 times so far. Although Adesanya has continued to garner support and respect from fans, the middleweight kingpin has also recently found himself on the receiving end of quite a bit of criticism for his performances inside the cage. After winning the middleweight belt in stunning fashion by defeating longtime champion Robert Whittaker, Adesanya made his first title defense against Yoel Romero. Despite picking up a unanimous decision, the fight was criticized for its lack of action. Although UFC President Dana White shifted the blame to Yoel Romero, citing a need for the challenger to bring the fight to the champ, the fight has continued to serve as a sore spot on Adesanya's record. After winning 3 straight decisions over the last 2 years in fights that were largely considered to be lackluster by fans, criticism of Adesanya has continued to arise despite the fact that he has shown few weaknesses. Recently, Adesanya reflected on his title defense against Romero and how it marked the moment he felt betrayed by fans.
After that fight, I was like, well, I was fighting. I was trying to, he was just standing there. Why are you blaming me? But that was my first time I kind of like felt like, ugh, I hate it, but the fans turned on me in a way. When I was like, wait, what? Now they're saying I'm like, did you not watch the one before? Did you not watch the one before that? The one before that? And I was like, yo.
Adesanya went on to explain how despite the fact that the moment was a low point for him, he used it as motivation to put on a dominant display in his next fight, where he secured a flawless TKO win over bitter rival Paulo Costa. Later this year, Adesanya will return to the octagon to square off with Alex Pereira once more, this time in the octagon. The pair have a storied history, sharing the ring together twice in professional kickboxing, where Pereira holds 2 knockout wins over the last stylebender. When the two meet in the center of the octagon on November 12th, Adesanya will look to have the last laugh and avenge the losses that have continued to haunt him. Thanks so much for joining us today. What do you make of what's going on in the fight world? Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel to stay up to date on all the latest news from the MMA Zone. See you next time.